I do feel now when you take it to the generation of kids, high school kids, it's a lot of pressure. They don't need that pressure. But how do you change it? How can we kind of redirect them in a different way so that you don't have so much FOMO?
All right, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Girls Gone Gritty. I'm Jennifer here with Farley and Darian, and we are excited to talk to you about something that isn't that exciting to talk about, but it's what is the deal with FOMO? I mean, we've got so much going on in this episode today. We can't wait for you to tune in, and let's get gritty talking about fear of missing out, peer pressure, and all the things that make people a little cuckoo.
Well, I'm the queen of FOMO. I hate missing out on anything. And I was talking to my husband last night as we're driving back from Vermont. And I was like, yeah, so FOMO. We're going to talk about FOMO tomorrow on the podcast. He goes, you are the queen of that. He said, we'll be doing something and you'll just want to go to the next thing and the next thing. And it made me think, all right, let me rewind and figure out what is FOMO. And I guess I do have it because every time in New York City, hey, we're at one club. This isn't good enough. We have to go to the next club. And it's like you're never content.
Chasing it. We've got to stop chasing it because if we stay, it's going to find us. And we would always be like going from one club that was like lame to the next club that didn't have good music to find like not only our people, but like our vibe. Totally. And, so FOMO has always existed. It just wasn't called FOMO. And we just read that it was actually coined in 2004 and it became a dictionary definition, a word in the dictionary in 2014. But
who knew? Who knew that like back in the day when you're like, wait, I want to go here. I want to go there. You feel like Ricochet Rabbit that now there's a definition for it. Well, there's a definition for everything. Now you have, ADHD, there could be a definition for anything, but FOMO, this is, I think, one of my favorite definitions now to learn about.
Well, everybody loves that acronym. Like FOMO, like that's just so 2000s that, we've come into this digital age. And I agree. Like FOMO, for those of you at home that don't have it, congratulations. But for the rest of us, the fear of missing out is a inherent, like Farley was saying, it's inherent in our society forever, but it's something that became exacerbated because of the technological age, right?
It's so sad because now social media, all of the technological platforms expose what everybody's doing, who's where, what, and the FOMO is real. I mean, it's real because you see somebody doing something that you want to do and it always looks better. The grass is always greener. And, we were also doing a little research on FOMO this morning and we realized that the only real cure for FOMO is to detox yourself, from all of your social media, your technological devices, and just like getting off the grid.
Yeah, but think about back in the day. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all these texter stations going on. Your fear was, all right, well, I mean, I was living in LA and all right, I'm surfing Malibu, but wait, I think I heard it's better in San Diego. And I would get in the car and drive as fast as I could, 2 hours to get there and be like, this is good. Oh, wait, it's good in Huntington. I'm going to go. And it was like, you're never content. Like you can't find that calmness in your body to just be in the now, be in the present. And I think that's what kids are missing and adults are missing with FOMO.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a crazy phenomenon that is, it's taken over everything because, again, it's like you would have a plan. You'd have your schedule for the week back in the day, which wasn't that long ago. Really, it was pre-2000. It was before everybody had a phone. It was before email. And that wave has happened so incredibly quick in our age, like to our point, we didn't have it when we were growing up, but we also had a place where the kids are growing up with it. They started knowing exactly what was happening in 13 and 14 years old. So they've lived in a society already that inherently FOMO exists. I'm always knowing the party I didn't get invited to, or the other event that actually I should have said yes to, but I already said yes to something else. So now I can't go to that. Like you cannot escape seeing what else is going on out there. And I think Farley said, like, it's just too much information for the human brain. And the FOMO, from what we were reading, talked about, well, it's a natural societal thing to keep you engaged with society. Like it was so that people did not become like pre-evolutionary. They didn't become hermit crabs. It was so that they like wanted to be a part of a social group, because if you live in a social group, then your chances to continue living and therefore procreate extend. But now it's come to a point where you don't feel like you can enjoy being home on a Friday night.
I'm going to give you guys the best example of FOMO that was so upsetting to me that I just witnessed. So Abby, my youngest daughter, we are on her official recruiting trip at Ohio State. It is exciting. Her dad has not seen the school yet. They are putting us on the, first yard line of the football game. What could be more exciting than going on your official? Well, Abby's tuning in to, Instagram and TikTok and Snap, and realizing that there is an all-class party for the first time where all different high schools are coming together. And it is something that really does not happen, because where we live, it's kind of the freshmen hang out with the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors. It's rare that two schools actually like collaborate on a night. This was a 3-school high school party, and she's watching it happen. And we're doing something so exciting. It's probably the most exciting thing of all, but she wants to be home because it's that horrible FOMO. And all of her friends know that she's, at Ohio and are supportive. Like, you're going to have the best time this weekend. It's going to be so great. Have so much fun. But they're also telling her, oh my God, this is the best party of the year. I've never been to anything more fun. Like, this is my favorite weekend ever. And now I've got this kid that's looking at me like, oh, and I'm like, what? What?
Well, it's hard because you see it's social media is in your face. And even if it's not that great of a party, you look at social media and you miss the best party there ever was.
It looks
you
like
miss
it was
the best ski day. You miss
Everything's
the best,
always.
best surf day. You met, oh my God, the hottest guys were there, the beautiful girls. You're just put in a weird position your whole entire life to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this anxiety. Like, why wasn't I invited? Why was I not there? And you can't live in the now and can't be in the present. And I 100% am definitely in that,
We're all
because
guilty of it.
we're all
Of course.
guilty
If
of
we could
it.
be everywhere,
I would love to.
I'd be
I mean,
everywhere.
you're going to Vegas. I'm like, wait, I really want to go to Vegas. Far, I want to go to Vegas.
She does have FOMO. When she saw me break out my wardrobe and like Mackenzie was trying on stuff, she's like, wait a second, I need some Vegas in my life right now.
I want to wear a fun, snappy, like tinsely dress and high heels and go air it out. But I'll love it. I'll be at like going to see Santa Claus with Dee Dee at the yacht club. So I mean, that's amazing,
Well, the problem with FOMO, the real problem with FOMO is if you're not like, I don't know, if you don't have a good core and you don't have a support system around you, and you're somebody that tends to maybe go dark, you could feel really left out. This could lead to like a lot of mental health issues. It can stimulate you to be not a couch potato, but it also can make you feel inadequate. And that's, I think, what we're concerned about is how do you start sending off your kids to college, or how do you deal with your kids in college or high school, that have like acute FOMO. And FOMO is like a real thing. Like there's scientific studies now where it is something that has to be addressed, and the detoxing from like devices is probably one of the major fixes. But this generation can't get away from that. And they make us use our phones for everything. You go to a restaurant, you have to, scan the Q thing,
the QR code, the
QR code. And so they're forcing us to use our phones all the time. And I feel like this poor like millennial group right now that's all they know. They don't know better. They have not really grown up without a phone or a device, an iPad in their hands. You go out to dinner, your kid's there watching, something so that you can have, it's that generation. Sick.
Yeah. Well, you said college, high school, and fourth grade.
And fourth grade. And well, every age.
At every age.
At every age. And I mean, not only if they don't see exactly what you're doing, they know where you are. Like, that's the other part. It's
Mommy,
like not
she got
just
invited to so-and-so's birthday party and I didn't. Why? Because you can't get invited to everything.
Yeah.
But that's really hard to teach.
But you want to be there, like, because it's in your face.
And everybody in your class might be invited, but a few people. So, it starts really young. You're absolutely right.
I was sad today. I was at physical therapy, who like they're the best. And you could just tell that you talk about your family, you just talk about different current events. And he was saying how last night, the favorite time of the year is to put the lights on their Christmas tree as a family. And he has a lovely group of children, and his one daughter is in Scrooge. She's a beautiful voice. She's a beautiful thespian. Like, you just see her on stage, you're like, oh my gosh, you're like, you're just, you just send out this aura. And he said, and we're there and we're enjoying this family moment. And she goes, the prom is the same day as the theater, like their big show. I don't want to do theater anymore. And he was devastated. He goes, right now, you plan on talking about this? This is our time to be happy. She said, I want to give up theater. I'm over it. And her voice is beautiful. I mean, I saw her in Scrooge and I'm like, oh my gosh, she has it. And because the fact that the prom is at the same time, her senior prom, she wants to drop theater and something like her future that it could open doors for everywhere. And I said, if it will hang over her all year long, because you have the prom dresses and people will send here's a photo of this prom dress,
Here's
that
the
prom bus.
Instagram of everybody that has their prom dresses already, so that you can see who's got
Right.
what. And I mean, it's a big thing.
And that's all year. I mean,
But
I saw
there's
it with
big
Lily.
things
And yeah,
all the time that compete and conflict with something else on the calendar. And we
Mhm.
are too in the know. And, it's like, how many different things can you potentially go to? Are you shopping out what looks the best? What's my best option? I'm not going to commit to that because something else could come up, or I'm going to commit to that because nothing's going to top cat that. So it's just a part of everything. FOMO is real.
Yeah.
It's real.
It also, it contributes significantly. We were talking about the mental health aspect, and we were talking about like just, the kids, and they've lived through it. It's also a huge component of peer pressure because, they're also like feeling like they've got to keep up with everybody that else is doing, which we were looking at the fact that FOMO, like the precedent, was like keeping up with the Joneses. Right. And it was like everybody feels like they need to do what everybody else is doing. And that's a form of peer pressure. And if you want to go to the prom and you want to be a thespian, those shouldn't have to be mutually exclusive. Certain things shouldn't have to be mutually exclusive, right?
right.
You should be able to figure out a way to do those both on some level, right? And
Yes.
if you can't, welcome to the world of 24 hours in a day. Like, it's not always going to work.
I was like, well, you could go to get there late for the last dance and then go to the after party. I mean, it's about the after party anyhow, but it's hard. How do you, as a parent, like, how can you stop it? Or as an adult, how do you get confidence to say, I'm going to make this decision and I'm happy with it. And I'm going to be happy that I'm eating dinner at this restaurant and going to this bar.
And I'm going to be present, and I'm not going to be watching all of my apps to see what everybody else is doing and then getting like all that crazy. It's called detach yourself from your phone.
How do you do that though? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
That's really hard.
Think about it.
And you know what? A lot of times these kids like have FOMO because they're not at the event for photo ops. It's like,
Correct.
if they just have the photo,
They don't care.
if they're a part of it because of the photo, or because they can be, they can snap from there, or they can be on their like Finsta and all the other acceptable social media platforms that show that they were there. I don't even know if they really want to be there to enjoy like what's happening, or do they really want the photo or the capability of doing whatever it is from that area that they can put out for everybody to consume? Like, that's a question too.
Yeah. And do they even know the difference?
Well, I don't think you're there unless you get the photo. Selfie. Hey, great party. Next.
True.
Go to the next
maybe
one.
they're all thespians. Maybe everybody's really acting. I mean, that's the scary part, because I can't get over the snaps and how many snaps my kids will do. They'll go through their list and they have to like take a random photo and another random photo and a random photo. And I'm going to roll my eyes. I'm going to make a duck face. I'm just going to do
every
me.
2 seconds.
Like, it takes up so much of their day.
Thank you, Paris Hilton. We appreciate it.
God, it's not a simple life anymore, Paris. Thank you.
Not.
I mean, you've complicated things.
Well, you have the Kardashians. I mean, you have people that are Instagram sensations and Facebook. They're in your face making money from it. So who doesn't want to try? I'm going to get 1,000 hits and try to make some money.
Well, yeah, and again, back to your point of when FOMO started and all these social platforms, we're talking it's a revolution of not even 20 years. So it really is something that a groundswell has happened for our children. And let's go back to that. It's not just the kids. Some of the people that have the biggest FOMOs are the parents.
Oh my God.
Some of the and they teach their children that like they should have FOMO. Like, well, why didn't you get invited to this? And why didn't I get invited to that? And it's not just the kids that don't know how
I
to
know.
deal with it. It's a lot of the parents don't know how to deal
Well,
with
it's
it.
the parent that once again is living vicariously through their children's social life, or or not.
Or not.
Or listen, this is a time of the year when a lot of people are throwing parties and people are wondering when they're going to get the nod to something, and they're wondering if like you can get me invited to something. Like that's a huge part of FOMO. Like you didn't get a nod to the party, like don't go looking for a nod to the party.
I need
Like,
an
you don't
invite.
need to be invited. To your point earlier, you don't need to be invited to everything. Sometimes just being with the people that you're supposed to be with at that moment is where the universe is meant for you to be.
How do you get that
Quality
message out
over quantity.
across the board? How do you get that message out to the kids? How do
Quality
you
over quantity.
change it so you don't get that uneasy
You
feeling
have to
of
be
I'm missing
sometimes. You have to
something?
be a little bit mature, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
we like options. We want to be given all the options that are available. But, at what point does a kid really realize, like, you know what? It's not about all this. I like my people. And it takes you a while to recognize, like, at this stage in life, I go for the sure bet. I want to be with my people that I know I'm going to enjoy myself with. I want to go to a restaurant where I love the food. I'm open to new restaurants, but I want the sure bet, and I want a smaller quantity because it's more one-on-one time and it's better conversation, but they're not there.
No.
They're not there yet. So it's very hard to say to a kid in high school, you're going to really appreciate just being with like your core 4 or your 3 or whatever, instead of, being with the masses, because that's just not their mentality right now. You have to grow out of it.
You have to grow out of it. Well, we've moved to Vermont for the winter. We pulled Dee Dee out of school and put her in a school up in Vermont for because we do a lot of things with the mountain, from skiing and some television stuff. But our daughter, we pulled out last year, and she said, "Mommy, I'm not going back to Vermont." And I said, "Well, why don't you want to go back to Vermont? You had great friends, you skied, you had great education. It was just a different life for this time period." They don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day. They don't celebrate April Fool's Day. And I missed the Christmas sing-along. And I died because I laugh and I'm like, St. Patrick's Day, what made it so special? That's in her head. Because anytime anybody asks her, "Are you excited to move to Vermont?" No, they don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Well, we're Irish.
I was
Hello.
like,
and like there's,
Yeah.
all kinds of leprechauns that come and go to the bathroom and leave green urine
Yes.
and green eggs and ham, and it's fun.
Yeah.
She just doesn't realize that it can happen in Vermont too.
Well, there's school, I guess the leprechaun fairies there, and it's
It's got nothing to do with mom and dad or the
No.
fairies. It's got to do with the friends.
And this starts at
Because
eight
that's
years
FOMO.
old.
Shirt and
That's
wearing
FOMO.
your green little like
'Cause that's FOMO.
clover headbands and yeah.
That's FOMO across the board, from
It-
8 years old to me, to you, to
I
your
think
kids.
Moose has FOMO right now.
Moose
that he's
totally has
not,
FOMO.
with us on the podcast, buddy. I love
But it is I do feel now, when you take it to the generation of kids, high school kids, it's a lot of pressure. They don't need that pressure. But how do you change it? How can we kind of redirect them in a different way so that you don't have so much FOMO?
Well, I mean, we touched on it, and everybody knows this, because when you're given a phone, you're addict because you're a user, right? We've talked about that. Is if you have to put down the phone and set some limits for yourself, and I find that with our house at home, it's like, nope, you're home. The phone's not at the dinner table. The phone's like, there's certain places where it's a no phone zone.
Oh,
like
stacks.
phone is not available when we're out to dinner as a family. And I'm out to dinner. When I'm out to dinner with my friends, I
do that
get
all the
I get
time.
annoyed when my friends will pick up their phone and they're suddenly scrolling. I'm like, okay, like we're here or you're there, but we are not both places. So
Yeah.
like technology where you're eating, I feel like that's rule number one. I feel like that's a very simple, like engageable rule
Agreed.
for everybody to take. Like you're sitting eating, one thing's the priority, food, and the conversation that is
My
alongside
husband
it.
goes, "Hey, everybody, mandatory phone stack.
Yep.
Everybody put their phones in the middle of the table. We are not doing that. We are here together. We're going to enjoy each other." Boyle Renius.
Mhm.
That's what we
Oh, I
call
love that.
us
Good
when we
job,
go out to-
Pat.
So yes, and the phone stack is, it's real.
Yep.
It goes right there, and we see people trying to sneak them. Like, oh, but
I
an
just need one
excuse. It's
thing.
like such a, it's a
They're
drug.
they're
It's a
addicted.
drug.
It's addictive.
They're addicted.
But this
Yes.
could be a good way to start spreading the word and start spreading that. Okay, try one family dinner. Everybody does a phone stack.
And then somebody's going to want to take a photo of the phone stack and put it into their social media so that they can say, look, we phone stack.
look what my parents made me do tonight.
Well, but
it's
then
torture.
to your point too is that they're also nefarious because you'll do those kinds of things at the restaurant, but now they want you to pick up your phone and do the QR code for the menu. So they know what this is the other part about FOMO.
They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. They have calculated how to keep you addicted. They
and the
know
pandemic did not
they
help
know
this.
that I haven't posted in a while, and for those of you that haven't, which we're going to cover social media and like that impact in a different episode, but like they talked about it in that movie The Social Dilemma, where like they figured out like, oh, they haven't engaged in a while, let me send them a click, let me like remind them of this person, let me remind them of that person. But sticking to your guns, especially at the dinner table or the lunch table or the breakfast table, I think is a simple tool. And then once you do that, once you kind of have pulled back on that, I think it's easier to be like, okay, well, now you're home. Like I have to do this with my youngest. He definitely is somebody who's like worried about what everybody else is doing because he's in a school that nobody else goes to in our area. It's one of the vocational schools. So he's constantly worried about what everybody else is doing. So when he's doing homework, he's definitely wasting his time when he has his phone. So when he's got homework, I have to pull his phone from him because and it's the phone. People will say, well, they can get it on a laptop. They're not doing it on their laptop. Most of us are not, like, you're not sitting there actively engaging social media or any of those other platforms on your laptop. It's a phone specific thing. So that's the other thing that I am working on. And I would say to the listener out there and to anybody else, just try and have some limits as to when they're able to access their phone. Help them to disengage.
It's true. We just had a very, very good friend of ours who had a daughter that went off to like Mount Kilimanjaro. She went on a retreat and it was like, leave everything behind. You have a backpack, you have everything that you need to survive, but you have zero access to your phone. I think they were allowed to have a camera, an actual camera, so that they could take pictures because they were doing incredible things in nature. And Callie actually said when she came back from that, it was the happiest that she's ever been because she had absolutely no toxicity. Like she was free to unplug and take it all in. And she knew that she wasn't going to be able to use her phone. So she lost the urge, or the desire. And she actually became 100% involved in what she was doing. And she said it was the most free she's ever felt.
Yeah.
Living in the present and enjoying your surroundings.
Well, I'm sure you feel this way, Darian, with what you do, and you're able to go up to Vermont for months at a time, which is a tremendous gift, is just being outside, right? Like you're not like looking for that
skiing
stimulation.
With your phone in your hand.
Right.
Well, I still have FOMO. I'm like, what runs better? Ooh, this is the good one. Wait, no, I got to go to Castle Rock. Wait, I heard that one's good over there. Should we go to South? What? Focus. Take a breath. And you just go.
Yeah,
and that's why you
your
don't.
FOMO is not social media induced.
No.
But yours
well,
is...
you'll see a friend do like ski a line. You're like, wow, the powder looks so much better there.
Well, that's using technology for your benefit.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
That's
No, but it is. You kind of disconnect from like texts and your phone, and you just, I'm skiing in the moment. I'm skiing with my friends, or like having conversations on the ski lift. And it's more relaxing. You're not getting that like unnecessary stress of, oh my gosh, what am I missing? Because you're in it. People are wanting to be doing what you're doing.
Right.
So
I have extreme FOMO now that I live in the woods, and I used to live on the water my whole life. When I see like pink and beautiful purples and things radiating through the trees, and I'm like, oh my God, the sunset is happening somewhere beautiful. Like, girls, let's go. We're going to go sunset chase because I can't see it from here. So I get like FOMO about that kind of stuff. I mean, I definitely get FOMO about, being at the fun spot or the in spot or what music's hot. I want to be everywhere. I do. But I think like my worst FOMO is when I know that there's a sunrise or a sunset that somebody can see better than me. And I want to be in the mix.
I love that.
So FOMO is good in some ways because it motivates me to get in my car and then I go find it. And then I'm happy because I'm looking at something that is just so beautiful. So FOMO isn't always negative. It can actually, really make you get out of your comfort zone and go do something and be a part of something and plug in and connect. And so there are very beneficial parts to FOMO, but it's just so funny that this word is now in the dictionary and it's always been here. It's just, unfortunately, the toxic side of FOMO is what is plaguing the youth of today. And we know now that the true solution is detoxing from devices.
Well,
which will never happen.
Which
Unless you start phone stacking at restaurants and during
which
meals.
okay, so that brings up an interesting point, because so actually what we're really saying is that FOMO, what we kind of went full circle on, is like trying to keep up socially, right? Which is a good thing theoretically, like keeping engaged. We recognize that we are, finite time here on this planet. So fear of missing out is also like, I don't know how many hours are going to be in my day, my life. I got to seize the day, carpe diem, all that good stuff. So what we really come to is that FOMO itself isn't the enemy. It's the devices that are the enemy, right? It really is. It's got nothing to do with, somebody called me like back in the day on the telephone and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go. I didn't even get invited and I see it and now I'm jealous and I'm transported myself there. It's that, right? You can't be everywhere. You can't do everything, but do the best that you can to seize your moment of your day and not somebody else's moment in the virtual world. So the devices, we come back to the fact that I think we're going to have this theme a lot in our podcast, that like step away from technology, do the, let's see.
Meanwhile, we're podcasting.
Mountain, beach, and city.
Technology.
Mountain, beach, and city. We're going to take this remote. We're going to get out on location and be
I have FOMO already. Where are we going next?
Where are we
What
doing?
am I missing? Let's go out in the city. What? Wait, you're going to Vegas. Wait, what?
Oh my God.
Hopefully we've dumbed down what FOMO really means. And, if anybody really wants to contribute with maybe the way that they've handled FOMO appropriately in their family, we'd love to hear from you. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. And we're actually getting ready to put together our website. So, that way we can actually field questions from you guys and we can take suggestions and become a little more interactive with our audience, because we're here for you. We want to know what you want to hear from us. And I'll tell you, there's a lot that we have done. I don't think there's much that we haven't done, which could be a little scary, but
successfully, or at least tried it twice.
Like we're here.
You know what'd be fun is we're still
live.
here. We actually are live. To hear people's most standout FOMO story. Like, what was your biggest FOMO moment?
True.
Because people have it. And it's that one standout there, like, oh my God, I knew it was there and I was there. And then I went there. And when you get to that other spot, you're like, oh, I should have just stayed. Should have been content.
Well, I think that comes back to, the other thing is that like you have to make your own decision and trust your gut, right? Not constantly be chasing something else, because we talk about it all the time too. It's like some of our best times are the ones that are spontaneous. They're not so carefully curated perfection.
Spontaneity always wins.
That and FOMO has got, that's probably the opposite of spontaneous, right?
True.
Like I can't script it. You weren't invited. It wasn't that I didn't want to invite you. It just serendipitously happened.
It's not my party.
That's amazing.
FOMO might give you grit. Because you can't be a part of everything. You can't be everywhere at once. So it gives you a little bit of grit, You have to deal with it. Suck it up, buttercup.
Trust your gut.
The hamster wheel. Keep it going. Keep it going. Stay in that one spot.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're really excited you tuned in for another episode of Girls Gone Gritty. We've been really excited to talk to you about FOMO, and we hope you're not missing out on us ever here. Catch us on Instagram, catch us on Facebook, tune in to us. We're going to be here. And again, we look forward to getting you on our website and hearing from you about things that you are important to you and what gives you your grit.
Thanks for listening.
Peace out.
Peace
Bye.
out.